Hi everyone, I'm Callie Estrada with the Midwest Fresh Podcast, and we have
Erica Bowler.
And today we are so excited to have on a very special guest, and we have Faye, Vorderlandwehr.
Yeah, very good.
I've only had like 13 years of practice to say that correctly. With us today with the Alzheimer's Association here in Wichita, Kansas. And I think this is a very special topic to be talking about, which is Alzheimer's and dementia. So we're super excited to get some insight and kind of learn the resources the Alzheimer's Association has for families and people struggling with those
in their journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Faye, you want to kind of get started with kind of like your start with Alzheimer's and...
Sure. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting. I was like, it's my first podcast. So I'm super excited about that. I was like, I have to wear the headphones. I want to be official too. The Alzheimer's Association, I'm in charge of the Central and Western Kansas chapter. And so there are over 70 chapters within the United States. And in Kansas, we have the Central and Western Kansas chapter, which covers 69 counties, which we go all the way to the Colorado border up to Nebraska and down to Oklahoma. And then we have what we call the Heart of America chapter, who really, what I say, they do like the northeast corner, the Kansas City, Kansas area, Topeka, Olathe, and that whole section. And so all of the chapters, all 70 of us, provide care, support, education, and really we're there for families that are living with this disease. I have been with the chapter here in Wichita it'll be 7 years in December. And so every day I learn something new about the disease and about what we're doing on the front for research, as well as care and support and education. And really, as you mentioned, we're here for families as they go through their journey from figuring out, like, maybe mom's got some issues. She's not remembering things, or she's doing something a little different, to how do they address that, to getting the diagnosis and then living with this disease and preparing not only themselves, but their families and their loved ones.
Okay, and so I heard about this recently because you have an event coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody in Wichita has heard about it or like talked about it.
I love that. That's what we want. We want them to.
Maybe it's just the networking groups. I don't know. But it seems like everybody knows about this event. Will you tell us a little bit more?
So we have an event coming up on October 29th. It's called RivALZ, RivALZ. And what it is it's a female flag football game. And so we have teams, a purple team and a teal team, and I believe one of your very own is on team purple.
Yep.
She's playing, and then Callie is what we call our super fan. So you can join the team and not even have to play, which I love that. We don't call people bench warmers. That's kind of We want to be super fans. Mm-hmm. So, and really, this is going to be the 10th year for this game, and I love it because it is so unique. In the fact that I don't really know of any other female flag football game that we have going on in Wichita. So it's something fun, it's interactive, and we'll be at Friends University. So far, in the last 9 years, we've raised over $250,000 with this event. And so we've got a goal this year to raise $50,000. And the players really do the bulk of that fundraising through, I think, car washes and bake sales and bingos, and really just going out and asking individuals for donations. You can buy a ticket to the event, and then I say buy in air quotes. It's a suggested donation because it is free to attend the game. But if you want a VIP seat, which is right on the field, we ask for a $15 donation. And the players have tickets, and they will gladly bring those to you for a $15 donation. But it's a lot of fun, and they've been practicing since about the beginning of September, I believe, and they're serious about it. This is a legit game, and it is all for Alzheimer's care and support and research, and the money that they do raise will stay here locally to help our families here in Central and Western Kansas. And a lot of them actually have their own stories about their journey through this disease. And one of the things that's so touching is one of our players who's played for several years just kind of came on board because her friend was doing it, and I'm going to do it. and ended up calling me last year and saying my dad just got diagnosed.
Oh,
but because of the game and all of that, I knew exactly who to call and what to do. And so I always say, I hope everyone has my phone number. I hope everyone knows my website. I hope you never have to use it. But when you do, I want you to immediately reach out and make sure that we can help in any way we can through the journey. So that was something that was, for her, it was full circle. She was like, okay, I need to know, and I'm glad I'm doing this. And so a lot of them do have their personal stories, and you'll see them if they raise, I believe it's, gosh, I'm going to get this wrong. I think it's 750. I'm looking at Callie.
So the
name?
players and the cheerleaders have to raise $500 to be able to play and participate in the game. And it's $1,000, I thought, for your name to go on the back of the jersey.
Oh, I remember now. It's $750 for your name to go on the back of the jersey.
Okay.
It's $1,000 for your name on the back of the jersey, and
The
what I
banner.
call like the high school senior banner that gets put up on the fence. And so you'll see though those that do the $750 will have like Grandma Mary on the back of their shirt. It's not always necessarily their last name. It's I'm playing for Grandpa Pete or something. And so that when you see those, you are even more touched because you're like, oh my gosh, like they have this in their family. And so it really is special. And I know we've got several girls already that have raised enough for their name on the back of their jersey and for their banner on the fence. We call it the Wall of Fame. And so one time last year they said, can I keep this banner? And I was like, well, I don't want it. So
What are you going to do with it?
like, I don't need a big 4x6 banner of your face. So once we're done with the game, yes, they get to keep their banner. And I know some of them have it hanging in their gym, at their home. I think my sister has it hanging up in the back room where she works, and she's got her donation can sitting there all the time. So she's constantly raising money for the Rivals game
I've already ordered my purple pom-poms.
Did you?
Really?
Did you get your purple tutu?
Not yet. I think someone's making me a purple tutu.
Very cool. Well, we've ordered special 10th anniversary shirts as well for all of the players, and then we'll have those also on hand at the game for people to make donations so they can have one as well. So
Dana, one of our new agents in the office, when we mentioned that you were coming in, said that last week her grandma actually passed, and she had Alzheimer's for 6 years. Not 7. It was quite a while, and so I was like, wow, I don't know anybody personally that's been so affected. And she's like, yeah, we took turns going over there, taking medicine. And so she said when they first found out, got diagnosed, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what resources were available. They just were like Googling,
Yes, and unfortunately, I hear that more and more often, and hopefully. We have really invested at the association, not only in the programs and services, but in the marketing. And so sometimes you'll be able to see on TV, we've got national commercials that will run, as well as really taking our communications further. I know we ran, I believe it was, several months ago though, but we ran an ad in Time magazine. And so there are things that we're looking at to where we want people to know that we're here, and we want them to have the 800 number. And really a lot of it is word of mouth. And so I'm glad that she was able to at least Google. We also have a program called Physician Outreach, where we're going out to different doctors' offices and making sure that they have the necessary materials. So if they are giving a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia, they have a flyer or a pamphlet that says, here's where you can call to find out what resources are available. And our 800 number, and I have to always take my card out because for some reason I always forget the 800 number, or I'll transpose the numbers, but it's 800-272-3900. And that's a 24/7 helpline number that you can call anytime, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Christmas Day, Easter morning. And really, you will be connected with a trained social worker that can answer any questions you may have, whether they're scientific questions or research, or I just can't get my grandma to change her blouse. She wants to wear the same blouse. What are some tips that you can help me with that? And they have all of our local information on a shared drive. So if you're even asking about at 4 o'clock in the morning that you want to go to a support group in Wichita, Kansas, they can pull all of that up and share with you where the support groups are in Wichita, where the support groups are in Liberal, Kansas, Hayes, anything like that. And then what they'll do is they'll send us a message, and then we can follow up on the local level and ask them, would you like to come in for an in-person care consultation, and bring people in. I think COVID also taught us that we can do a lot of things virtually. And so I think we knew it, but I don't know that we necessarily did it. And so we've done in-person care consultations where some of the family member is in the room and then some of them are visiting on Zoom. So they're all hearing the message the same at the same time, and how they can participate in the caregiving of a loved one, whether you're here a block or two away from them, or if you're 200 miles away, you can still participate.
Yeah, that's nice. I have another question. Since we're realtors, we run into all kinds of different clients. Is there anything, what would be a clue where we would want to connect them with someone to like we go into a house and we're like, this isn't safe, or, is this the right place for that call? Or are there things that we should look out for? Because I feel like we run across a lot of different people, and it's almost like, remember when we got a call to list a house. This is a great example. We go out, look at the house, walk, the whole thing. She's getting ready to sign the contract, and she's like, I can't because my boyfriend. And we're like, but your boyfriend? And she's like, yeah, my boyfriend. And she's older, obviously. And yeah, my boyfriend in California won't let me sell the house. So we're just like, what's going on? And looking back, I'm like, this is somebody's either taking advantage of her, or, oh yeah, he's going to do my rental management for me or something like that. So I don't know. If there's things like that you would say to look out for, or reach out to you guys, or,
Definitely. And unfortunately, there's all kinds of people that are wanting to take advantage of our elderly. And so not knowing the situation or what was happening with that, I will give you guys the 800 number, because that could be a quick call. I don't know if I'm supposed to be calling you, but here's what's happening. What can I do? And they will definitely direct you in the right way, whether it's them or another agency that you need to call. They'll be able to help you with that. One of the things I do tell people is Alzheimer's and dementia, it's not a normal sign of aging. As we age, we do become forgetful. And so that, but if you're selling a house, if you know you're going to buy a house, that's not I forgot where I put my car keys. But you have to kind of look at the individual and how they were maybe prior to their cognitive issues. And really what I tell people is, for example, the car keys. I don't know how many times I've gone to the grocery store, and then I come out and I'm like, where did I park my car? But then it takes me a minute. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I came in on the produce side, so it's over there. It becomes an issue when you leave the grocery store and you come out and you're like, you don't know where I parked your car, or you look down at your hands and you don't know what those keys are for, or you turn around and you don't know what that building is behind you. That's when it becomes an issue. It's forgetfulness that impedes our daily living. And so a lot of times you can retrace your steps and kind of know. It's when you can't retrace your steps that you really need to take note. And when you see family members maybe that are going through that, definitely bring that up to their doctors and ask, because sometimes it may not even be Alzheimer's or dementia. It may be maybe they got on a new medication that has a different effect with a current medication that they're taking. Or I didn't know this, and I found this out probably in the first month I started working there, which totally blew my mind, is if you have a UTI, you can show signs cognitive signs. All you need is antibiotics to clear that up.
Huh.
And so, I know, I was totally like, what?
I learned that on Succession, the show. It's like a
Yes.
Showtime show. Did you ever watch that?
No.
But yeah, I didn't know that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, because maybe somebody has a UTI and they're so scared that maybe they have
Yeah,
Alzheimer's
they
or
thought he was
dementia. They
done.
don't even, oh, I hit the mic. Sorry, dude. I start talking with my hands. They don't even, they're too scared to go to the doctor because they don't want to hear that diagnosis.
Right.
And really all they needed was like some antibiotics.
Right.
So
That makes sense.
So you're talking about Alzheimer's and dementia. What are like some like the major differences between Alzheimer's disease and dementia?
that's a very good question. And I should have started with that at the beginning, so I apologize. So dementia is the umbrella term. So what I equate it to is there's cancer, and then you have breast cancer, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, etc. There's dementia, which is the umbrella term, and then you have Alzheimer's dementia, frontotemporal dementia, vascular dementia. There's several different types of dementia, Alzheimer's being the most popular. I shouldn't say most popular. That's not a nice word. The most prevalent in 60 to 80% of the cases, it's Alzheimer's disease.
Okay. And so what did you just start in this career and then get interested and learn about it, or were you personally?
So how I kind of got to the Alzheimer's Association, it's kind of a funny story, and I'll try to make it short. And Callie knows part of this story because I've known Callie since she was probably 8 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
And so I used to work for the Air Force Base, and my job was planning events and programs for the troops and their families. So family nights, bingo, princess ball, things like that. That's what I did for the Air Force Base. And lo and behold, in 2013, there was a furlough, and I was one of those individuals impacted by the furlough. And what happened was I had been volunteering downtown for another nonprofit, and they had a position come open. And so I was like, oh, I should apply. I just got furloughed. I don't have a job. And I'm not in the position to just not work. So I applied for the job. I got called back from my furlough, and my position had changed. And so there were a lot of changes going on. And I had been back at the base for about 2 weeks when this other nonprofit called and said, we'd like to offer you a full-time position. And I'm a firm believer that if God throws you a life raft, you get on. And I thought, well, this is my life raft. And so after 13 years of working at McConnell, I made the jump and started working downtown. And I worked for this nonprofit for 2 years. And they were going through some structure changes, and I'd kind of seen that. And so the position at Alzheimer's Association became open, and so I applied there. And I've just been there now for almost 7 years. What I will say is I didn't realize that I had it in my family until I started working there. Oh, wow. And my parents were what I would call the true sandwich generation. And so I'm the oldest of 3. And when I was in the 8th grade, my grandma came to live with us. And back then they said she was senile, but there's no such thing as senile. And so I remember after being at the association for about a month or 2, and she lived with us for 5 years, and then we couldn't care for her anymore in the home. And so we had to put her in a memory care facility. I don't believe they called it memory care at the time. But I asked my dad, I said, did Grandma have Alzheimer's? Because she would wander, and she would, like, at 3 o'clock in the morning think it was time to get up. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's time to go to bed. She would call me by every name but my own. Not bad names, but like I was like, oh, wait, no. But like Sarah or Melissa, and I'm like, I don't know who you're talking to. But my dad was like, well, I don't know if she had Alzheimer's. They just told us that she was senile. And so I was like, now the things that I'm learning, those are signs of Alzheimer's or dementia. And so it's one of those
so
things.
much worse, senile.
It does.
And so like aggressive.
Well, and I wish my parents had known back then about the association, because I can only imagine, as I'm probably about their age, that they were maybe a little bit older when they took all of this on. And I have a younger brother and a younger sister. I can't imagine what, taking care of your mom, taking care of your kids, making sure, everything's running. Like they needed support. And so my thing now is I don't want to see any family have to think they have to go through that alone. And we always tell individuals too, if you made a promise to your loved one that I will never put you in a nursing home, I mean, like I'll never do that to you. You have to forgive yourself right now, because that could be the best place for them, is a long-term care facility or memory care. And it's not you giving up on them. It's really making sure that their quality of life for what they have left is really everything that they need.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Can Alzheimer's, you talk about it being in your family, is Alzheimer's, could that be hereditary, or is that just something that you just comes up when you start to have
So we don't necessarily know what causes Alzheimer's or dementia. We do know that genetics, heredity does play a role. It could. But just because you may have the gene doesn't mean that you'll necessarily develop Alzheimer's or dementia. Okay. Age obviously is the most common denominator in that, but we are seeing individuals as young as 40s and 50s being diagnosed with what we call early onset Alzheimer's disease. And so right now we're in such a great place for hope in our research. And so I don't know if many people know this, but the Alzheimer's Association, which is something that I'm so proud of, I tell everybody I know, we're the third largest funder of Alzheimer's research in the world.
Wow.
Only behind the Chinese and American government. And so we have over $300 million invested in research in, I think it's 900 different projects in 48 countries in the world.
That's insane.
Wow.
I think the only continent.
Multinational organization?
So the Alzheimer's Association is here in the United States, but we fund researchers throughout the world. And the only continent we don't have someone on, I think, is Antarctica. But if we find a researcher there doing something, you bet you know what, that we will help fund them and start their career. And because we don't care where you find the cure or who finds the cure. We want to do everything we can. And I would encourage people to, it's called the Science Hub. It's an app on your phone, and it's free, the Alzheimer's Association Science Hub. I say download it, and anytime new things come up, that app will totally update you on that. And also, it's just such a great resource. So if you wanted to look something up, for example, like if you knew somebody that had epilepsy, you could put in epilepsy in the search, and it would pull up for you any kind of research documents or papers that are related to epilepsy and Alzheimer's or dementia. And
who funds that app?
We do.
Oh, okay.
So it's part of the Alzheimer's Association. So it's part of our education and what I call our care and support pillar.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So there was, kind of talking about the cure for Alzheimer's, there was recently a prescription drug, is that correct? Or some sort of medication that had been kind of approved.
And I even brought the talking points because I knew. I was I don't know. So last week, two things. Last week, we had some great news, and I'm going to look down at my notes here. There's a drug called lecanemab that they are seeing some great results with. And so they are going to, in November, do the final, here's what we got. But right now they're seeing 27% of the individuals that are part of this clinical trial are seeing their cognitive decline not going, what am I trying to say?
Not progress.
That's the word. Thank you. Not progress. And so that's huge. And then also last summer, the FDA did approve a drug called aducanumab. Mm-hmm. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but part of that clinical trial is being held here in Wichita, Kansas. And so there are 6 individuals, I believe, that participate in that clinical trial here in Wichita, up at Via Christi. And so that's exciting. And with aducanumab and lecanemab, which we'll find out more about that drug in November, and then it'll go up in the spring of 2023 and hopefully get FDA approval there. These are the first drugs in probably over 20 years that we've seen for Alzheimer's and dementia. Wow. But what's great about these is they are not just treating the symptoms, they're actually going after the sources, which are the plaques and tangles in your brain. And so some people say, oh, it's just 27% or what have you. Really, all families should have the option if there's something out there, and they can make that decision based on, speaking with their loved ones and as a family. But to not have the option at all, that's what the association is like. No, we think that these should be, we haven't made a decision yet on if we're supporting lecanemab. We're waiting for all of the results and things like that. But with the drug last summer, aducanumab, we were supporting the FDA approval of that because we believe families should have the option of how they want to continue their journey and what treatment options
and
they
that
have.
Had 25% better improvement, or that were not decreasing?
Not decreasing. So from what I understand with these drugs, and I always tell people I know enough to be dangerous, so don't take anything I say for like scientific fact. Please go to the Science Hub, go to alz.org. But we can't reverse what's happened. But what we can do is slow down the cognitive decline. And so what we found is that these drugs, the earlier you're able to get a diagnosis and perhaps use these treatments, then the cognitive decline will slow and the plaques and tangles aren't going to form as quickly as they would without that. Because currently there isn't a cure yet for Alzheimer's disease. But with these drugs, and we think that'll be it won't be just one single thing. It may be that along with, we tell people healthy living, healthy brain. If it's good for your heart, it's good for your brain. So, a heart healthy diet and exercise and things like that. If it's not going to hurt you, and everything's all connected. So healthy living, healthy brain is really one of the things we push. So it'll probably be a combination of several things that will help individuals, hopefully, when they get that diagnosis.
Yeah, that's great. It's great they're working on stuff and maybe have some options one day.
No, I'm excited. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for myself, but what I'm truly excited for is for my son. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want him he's an only child. I don't want him to have to think I have to carry the entire burden of caring for mom or dad if, God forbid, something happened to them. So, really
think about that it's all on me when...
I mean, you get all the stuff. I mean, you don't have to split things with anyone, but it's all on Isaac. Mm-hmm. I know. I was like, maybe I take in some of my nieces and nephews and start being really nice to them. But yeah, I mean, I think about it more so probably as I age, what does it look like for Isaac when he's my age? Mm-hmm. So.
Well, that's great. We're really looking forward to our team participating, being true, super fans.
I know, October 29th at Friends University.
October
I think
20th.
game time is 1:30.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I have some other friends there too, and so I know Wichita really gets behind this one. So
it'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. Well, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Faye. And as always, if you need to find resources or want to talk to anyone in the field of elderly care, Faye and her team at Alzheimer's Association is a great resource, so make sure and reach out to alz.org for all of their information. And we hope to see you guys on the next podcast. Thanks.
Thanks.